Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Mercury conjunct one's natal Mercury. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve Mercury, it's about being objective, our communication, thinking, what we're thinking about, what we're learning, processing, and assimilating information. Now, when you have the transit Mercury conjunct your own Mercury, this could be a lot of being objective, more communicative, thinking, learning, assimilating information with matters with siblings, cousins, neighbors. It could be you could be learning with these people. Perhaps you're trying to find out more about them. If it's say if this is in the zodiac sign Cancer, it can be that you're finding out that maybe some are more introverted or protective, more you could say nurturing, sympathetic, maybe than what you might have known before. This could be also too at this time, and also really when you're talking about Mercury. And I mean, this is really about really wanting to articulating things more so than usual, being more, speaking very clearly in a lucid and perspicacious manner. If you have an Aquarius, it could be speaking in a very lucid manner about matters with innovation, aerospace, astronomy, uh, computers, electronics, and also too. This is about where you're it could be about the formulation of plans for like a short journey. Perhaps you might be more active in terms of short journeys at this time. Mercury, of course, could be restless energy, and when that transit hits your natal Mercury, you might find you might wind up going to like manifold different places. I mean, if you have it in Gemini, imagine that. I mean, you're talking about maybe going to a wide divergence of places and very quick, rapid visits during this transit. Now, this transit doesn't last very long. Remember that the transit of Mercury itself, going through traversing a sign, only takes about 15 to 20 days on average when it's going direct, of course. So when I'm talking about when you have this this conjunction transit, I'm using only 3-degree applying orb as far as the aspect goes, and 2-degree separation conjunction aspect. So 5 degrees total. You might have it around a few days on average. So it really doesn't last that long, but it still can have certain importance and significance nonetheless. Now, another thing, this is also a time too where you're really you could be much more objective about how you perceive things. If this is in Libra, say somebody's putting on some superficial charm, or they're just being persuasive because maybe they want something, this is a time where you can actually be very objective and see what's really going on with people more so than usual. You're less likely to miss details at this time. It's a time too where you might find yourself maybe somebody from your early education may reach out to you, and this is about maybe applying more some things you might have learned from that period, and also the understanding better comprehension of Mercury related things that are connected with the body. I mean, anatomically, Mercury is associated with the arms, the hands, nerves, eyesight, the brain, the lungs. If you were having any issues with these, I mean, especially say if you have your natal Mercury in the first or the sixth house in your natal chart. First house is, of course, the physical body. Sixth house could be about physical related issues. This could be a time where you might get some greater understanding of any problems. That if you have any problems with these in the past, something Mercury related, this is a time where you might really delve more into it. I mean, if you have it in Scorpio, say, this could be a time where you go maybe really deep into these matters and what you can actually maybe do regarding these issues. Anyway, and I mean, if it's in, you look at if say if it's in the zodiac sign Cancer, it might be something that might be, maybe hereditary in some cases, and it could be about really getting more informed about those issues. Now, and also Mercury is associated with breathing. If you have it in Aquarius, it might be a time where maybe you have, trying to get greater understanding of very erratic or sporadic breathing. Mercury is also about local transportation, so this could be a time where maybe you're learning more about matters that are associated with this. It could be a time where you may be more objective regarding these matters. If you've been overly dependent, say, on other people giving you rides to places, this might be a time where you might be looking at things and understanding what really needs to be done. Can I be more self-reliant regarding these things? Say if you have this like in Aries, it could be a time where you might come to realization, well, you're thinking about being more self-reliant and independent regarding matters pertaining to local transportation and short journeys. And this is just a very active, could be a very active period as far as your communications and messaging, emails, telephone calls. You might be bombarded with them at this time. You certainly could be a lot more loquacious and voluble, more so than usual at this time. Now, maybe Mercury related people might grate on your nerves. Well, I'm really being flippant with that, people, because the nerves could be associated with Mercury. And but in some cases, it just makes you wonder if that actually could be possible. Remember, you're talking about when you have a conjunction aspect, it is about friction. It can be about friction. Now, conjunction aspects are, they're neutral. They can have good and bad aspects to it. And also, too, this could be a time, too, where you might have a lot of mobility involving your short journeys. Mercury could be about mobility and also your short journeys. So this could be a very intense period for just moving around, going, different places, maybe in your neighborhood. Very active period for that. Say if this is in Pisces, it might be a lot of convoluted short journeys. And this could also be a time again where you could often convey concepts and ideas in a very clear, lucid, and perspicacious manner. You could be more apt to be better at debating at this time, and if there's an argument you're having with somebody, you can maybe pick apart, take away, extract some of the things that they're saying, and say what's wrong with what they're stating, what might be erroneous, what makes your argument better. I mean, say if you have this in Aries, it could be a really combative type of debate if you're getting into it with somebody verbally. Now, at this time as well, there might be more enhanced and improved ability to edit, and could be like proofreading. If you're doing something with editing and proofreading, it could be an auspicious period for you. I mean, especially say if you have this in Virgo, with the sign that's associated with that. Virgo, of course, is very punctilious with details, that sign. So that could be a time where you could really, it could be very good period for that if you're trying to especially if you're working as an editor or a proofreader, and you're better apt to correct the things that are as far as flaws or defaults in some kind of writing or article or what have you. And I also believe too this transit can give Mark greater hand-eye coordination, because remember, Mercury does rule the hands, and also, and it's hitting the natal Mercury. Mercury is associated with eyesight. So let's say that you're in a sport, let's say even on a recreational level, you're playing tennis. That could be very good as far as hand-eye coordination goes. I mean, if it was in Libra, say it could be something with tennis. If it's in Gemini, maybe something with badminton or table tennis, because those could be, I could see them as Gemini sports, because those require quick responses and quick reactions. And also, too, you might be thinking more about your own mental ability, analyzing, thinking about what you actually are, intellectually. And because remember, Mercury involves thinking, and also the transit to the natal Mercury could be about your own mental ability. Now, say this is in Pisces. Yes, Mercury in Pisces. course, many of you may know it's in its detriment, and fall can be regarded as the worst placement for Mercury by sign. But I think Pisces can still be good as far as understanding, cryptic writing and trying to decipher, things that might be a little bit ambiguous. And say if it's in Scorpio, it may be, like coded type writing, which is, like similar to what I described with the Pisces. But anyway, and really understanding what you can be good at, as far as your own, mental ability and being out, and as far as writing ability, what are your strong points as far as your writing goes as well. And it could be a time too where you're more gesticulative in your mannerisms when you're talking. Remember, Mercury is about our communication and speaking. The hands are associated with Mercury. So you have that transit Mercury hitting, contacting one's natal Mercury. It could be a greater indicator of talking with the hands, which is what I'm doing right now. Maybe that's my unconscious Gemini moon going at it right there. Anyway, could also be very auspicious for really getting the information that is required. A lot of this could be predicated on aspects that this makes the points in your chart. Whether you might have some restrictions or not in getting it. I mean, if you have this transit at the same time it's conjoined your natal Mercury, say if it's making an adverse aspect to your natal Saturn, it might indicate some roadblocks in the process. A sextile trine to your natal Jupiter, of course, could even give, could be very fortuitous for that as well, getting that information that is required at this time. And say if it's in Libra, it could show that you're very maybe persuasive in getting it if you're actually talking to people and trying to get that information you need. And let's say this could also be a very restless period where there might be, again, a lot of constant mobility, moving around at this time. It could really be really almost excessive short journeys you may be taking. It can be very good if you're doing like canvassing, or you're like a door-to-door salesman, because this can give, because you have the planet connected with mobility, and again with short journeys, and transit Mercury, could be about mobility, conjoining one's natal Mercury. Again, the planet associated with short journeys and mobility and communication. This could be something where you could really incorporate that mobility along with speaking. And it's something where, again, it could be very good for somebody that's kind of walking, like the canvassers, the people that the door-to-door salesman. This could be a very beneficial period, I would say, for those people. And even like your siblings, cousins, neighbors may be more loquacious and voluble and more inquisitive at this time. You might find them being a little bit nosier than what you ordinarily expected of them. Especially, it would not be surprising if any of these people have more of an introverted chart, or a chart where they're just, if you have people that have a lot of planets below the horizon. Often when you're more introverted, you're less inquisitive, or they don't, say they don't have any Virgo or Gemini energy. You probably could wonder, well, why is this, all these all of a sudden they could be taking on almost a different character as far as inquiring for information. But I understand inquisitive, there could be other elements in the chart that might make somebody inquisitive, such as Mercury conjunct Jupiter. I would say, for example, it could be an example, even if they don't have anything like in Gemini or Virgo dominant in their chart. Now, another thing is let's say if this is in Taurus, this could be very good for formulating monetary plans, and also things that require persistence as well, and maybe communication that might require persistence, if this is in Taurus as an example. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.